what music can do to send us a message of what's really going on. And, you know, this has been a pretty lonely time, and I want to congratulate all of us for getting through it. But that beautiful song is such a reminder that as alone as we might feel at times, we're never alone. We're never, ever, ever alone. And it's a good time to remember that. But that's going to take, as our topic today, to choose courage to see beyond our physical existence into the reality of the invisible spirit that's always at work. Now, I don't know how you're getting through this time, but you know, we all have our special little ways to be dealing with an awfully lot of time for being alone. I know I have a kind of an unverbal agreement with my daughter that every morning she sends me something funny. It could be a picture or a little phrase. And this last Thursday, you know, and I share them with Kirk, and we talk about them. And this Thursday, she sent, it's a self-isolation journal for 15 days. And I know later in the day, Lois had sent us the same thing. But we laughed so hard, and I realized it just reminded me of where we were. So I'm not going to tell you all 15 entries. But if you read it, it's okay, because it's still funny. But see how it applies to your life right now. Day 1, I can do this. I have enough food, wine, and toilet paper for a month. Day 4, it's 8 p.m. I remove my day pajamas to put on my night pajamas. Day 6, I get to take out the garbage today. I'm so excited. I just can't decide what to wear. Day 9, I put liquor bottles in every room. And tonight, I'm going to get all dressed up and go bar hopping. Day 10. Today, I struck up a conversation with a spider. Seems nice. He tells me he's a web designer. Day 11. Isolation is hard. I swear I just heard my refrigerator say, "What do you want now?" Day 12. I now realize why dogs get so excited when something moves outside, going for a walk or car rides. I think I just barked at a squirrel. Okay, so simple jokes, but I'll tell you, we need something to keep us going. You know, we may call this time a time of crisis, which it is, but it's certainly a time that's brought the entire world together. And I shared on my Friday message a little saying that keeps me going, is what some people call a crisis. I see as God's way of pointing the finger in a new direction. Not pointing a finger, pointing us in a new direction. Pointing us in a new direction for something new. You know, a Chinese symbol for crisis is 2 symbols together. Danger and opportunity. We decide every day gives us the opportunity to decide if we're going to wake up to something greater, keep our minds flexible, our imagination flexible and fired up on what's possible, or we cannot wake up, we can shut down and go to sleep. And instead of using that creative imagination, the stuff of which we're made, for something new and exciting, we can use the same fire of that imagination to think about all the things we have to worry about. I want you to think of those 2 things. You know, here's the opportunity of creativity, something new, something possible. And the energy of using that same imagination to keep us stuck in the worry. Somebody once told me worrying is like being in a rocking chair and hoping you get somewhere. You know, you just stay in the same place doing the same thing. My biggest fear right now is that we're not going to use this time to create something new. You know, I don't see this as a time that we're being punished in any way. We're being told it's time to wake up. The old way just doesn't work anymore. And we need to start looking at new ways to be in this global community, in this thing called humanity, how we're going to show up and be different. Now, if we think about it, And one thing that Ernest Holmes writes a lot about, he writes a lot about fear, because he says that the whole world gets locked up in fear. There's too much fear in this world, and fear is contagious, and it is the enemy of man. Now, if you haven't felt fear during this pandemic, then you're just not awake, because you're not paying attention, because there's a lot of unknown that we can feel fear about. That's normal, but it's what we do with the fear that matters. The fear is there to give us a message. Wow, what am I to learn from this? What greater truth am I to know from this? We're not here to push our fears away. We're here to wake up from them and realize, there's something more here that wants to be revealed. I need to spend more time thinking of spiritual truths, of greater possibilities. Ernest Holmes equated fear to a mental germ. Think about it, a mental germ that we can catch and pass on, and it grows, kind of like this pandemic. It can grow and spread, and we carry that because each one of us is like a little broadcasting, a vibrational broadcasting system. Our mental, emotional, and spiritual energy we share with others. It's going off from us in this unconscious way all the time. Now, you and I can either choose to be the distributors of kindness and love and goodness, or the distributors of worry and fear and lack and limitation. Fear is the direct opposite of faith. It's a belief in limitation. There's just not enough. And we know that that just isn't true. There's so much more at work than we can see. There's so much more at work than we can see. Nelson Mandela, boy, talk about somebody who 27 years in prison and ended up to be, to be the leader of South Africa. But can you imagine when he was in that cell for 27 years? He said, and one of his quotes is, "It seems impossible until it's done." We need to keep those creative juices at work and keep things going. And Jesus said, "Fear not, little flock. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." There's this power of good available all the time. The problem is, as humans, and you know how this happens sometimes? People will say, "Oh, this was so wonderful. This was so great. You could tweak this one little thing." And what's the thing we focus on? That one little thing, that one little tweaky thing. Well, fear not, little flock. We focus on the fear instead of it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Ernest Holmes said that every day, every single day, we need to go to Spirit, the Spirit of goodness, the Spirit of possibility, and cleanse ourselves of fear and worry and doubt and uncertainty, and expand ourselves in faith. Because faith is the antidote for fear. If fear is that germ that so many of us have, we are the doctors, because only you and I can cure ourselves of the fear that we feel inside. We need to shift our consciousness, and we need to keep knocking on that door of our consciousness where we've built walls. We need to keep knocking, taking those walls down, so we can see the light, the greater truth. We can see the possibility. When we break through our consciousness of limitation, not enoughness, unworthiness, oh, it's not possible. When we break through those things, it'll be like stepping from a cold, dark room into a bright, sunshiny day. We'll wake up to a greater understanding. We can't be afraid of our fears, but we need to be really conscious of analyzing them and seeing what they're trying to tell us, so we can stand in that sunshine. But that consciousness we're knocking on is the indwelling Spirit within. Pema Chodron, that very darling Buddhist nun, says she wrote a book called Comfortable with Uncertainty. And that sounds like an oxymoron, but being comfortable with uncertainty. And she mentioned 3 ways we can tell when we're not comfortable with uncertainty. And so just you can check and see if these are any things that are happening in your life in a way that too much, in a way that's too much. She said, number 1, people who are uncomfortable with uncertainty attack. They're in that pointing the finger, blaming, criticizing, judging all the time. They're putting the blame out there or blaming themselves. They're in that state of blame instead of understanding. Okay, that's number one. Number two is indulging. People that are uncomfortable with uncertainty don't believe that this world should be uncomfortable or uncertain. They deserve better. We're here to learn and grow. Yes, God wants good for us. Life wants good for us. Yes, life is for us all the time, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be uncomfortable or uncertain. And so there's the indulgence, feeding the senses, so you can try to numb out the learning possibility that's taking place. So we have an attacking, indulgence, and then there's the just downright denial. I'm just not going to think about it, look at it, even pay any attention to it until you fall off the cliff, because life is here to wake us up. Now, if we either choose to wake up or we choose to fall off the cliff until life keeps waking us up, or at least trying to. We decide what we're going to do with that. So at that choice, there was, there's a story, and I know you've heard it many, many times, but it's a great story about a Native American chief who's talking to his grandson. He said, a fight is going on inside of me, and it's going on inside everyone. And the fight is between two wolves. One of the wolves is kind and nice, does no harm, and lives in harmony with life, and only fights when it's absolutely necessary in a just way. The other wolf is angry and mean and bitter and jealous and greedy and is attacking and fighting all the time because there's so much hatred in his soul that he just can't see clearly. And the grandson with big eyes says, well, grandfather, which one wins? And the grandfather says, it's the one I feed, the one you feed. Whatever wolf we choose to feed is the one that gets nourished and grows. Ernest Holmes says the same thing, that we have to be really careful of our thoughts, because it's the thoughts we nourish and we focus on. Little thoughts that come by, little fears, little doubts, little uncertainties, little angers, those are fine. They're just there for us. We just need to be sure the proportion that we have of our goodness and our fear, our faith and our fear, our doubt and our willingness to be okay with change. Nothing's solid here in this physical realm. It's always changing, and you and I get to choose how we're going to deal with that. Are we going to be okay with the uncertainty? Are we going to be okay with not knowing? It's up to us to decide what we're going to do with that. So we are the doctors to cure our own being, so we can live in that expanded way of faith and understanding. Reverend Kirk said, what are you going to do to be more courageous today? And my question to add on to that right now is, what, as you're knocking on that door of your consciousness, these walls we build up, as my dear Rumi mystic, 13th century Rumi mystic says, why do you stay in prison when the door is wide open? It's because we build these walls of limiting beliefs that keep us shut up, locked up in fear and uncertainty, when we could have faith in something so much more. Boy, if we say life is good, the wall comes down. Life is for me, the wall comes down. I live in infinite possibility, the wall comes down. I am the way God, life, love, goodness expresses itself. Courage is part of us. It's ingrained in all of us. About 2,500 years ago, when Plato wrote Plato's Republic, he talked about human virtues, the lesser goodness in life, and then divine virtues, which reflect who we really are. Now, the lesser virtues he talked about, these human virtues, are, health and beauty and strength and wealth. They're things that we're here to accomplish on this physical realm. But The divine virtues are the virtues in everyone, and they reflect our true nature. And they're the greater virtues because as we focus on them, we expand into something more. And they are, they're the virtues of wisdom. That's inside of us right now. As Reverend Kirk was talking about that still small voice within, we have to quiet down. And we have to listen because the voice of wisdom is there to guide us and direct us. The second divine virtue is temperance, self-control. We are actually peaceful people. We know when to act and when to step back. We have a self-regulating compass inside of us, which is divine. It's our divine nature. And then there's courage. Now, courage, and the last one is justice, in case I forget to talk about it. But courage comes from, the root word in courage is cor, which is a Latin word for heart. And so actually the true meaning of courage is from the heart. And it's that instinct where the heart knows what to do. You know, when you're in a situation, how many people, think of a time when you were really courageous, when you could stand up for something or someone, or where you could do something you didn't think you could do, or maybe it was in a very difficult situation. Now, I love right now how we're absolutely focusing on all of the people that are stepping up in a big way to be courageous in the hospitals, to be courageous in getting us food and keeping us safe. All of these people that are doing things out there with this courage that is big. But just as I've said so many times, in the mind of God, there is no size, there is no proportion. There are smaller acts of courage which make a difference every day. Sometimes it's just the courage to get up, to call a friend you hadn't thought about, to take care of your children, to take care of your parents, to do something you can do that takes you out of yourself to something more. So I'm going to ask you, what are you willing to let go of? What old belief here, wall, that keeps your consciousness closed from what's possible? What can give you that courage right now to break into something new? It's for us. You know, I want to tell you, so today is about choosing courage, which means, of course, choosing love, the stuff of which we're made, which means choosing kindness. We have weekly board calls, you know, because this is a stress, there's stress on our center right now and how we're going to get through it. And if you know a board member or somebody, please say thank you, because the board is working so consciously and kindly and with such care for our community and how we keep our safe and doing what we can with the banks and with loans and different things. We're doing that all together, but of course, we're also thinking about how we care about the people we love. And so what came up today in this courage, the big and small consciousness of courage, of course, there's a courage to give. If you have, give. And so we wanted to create for our community, for those people right now that are struggling financially, and even getting food for the week is a problem, is a challenge. We have decided, and I was the first one to call the office and get it, a $50 grocery card, which will get to people whatever way is the best, whether it's emailed or it's here. We have different people willing to do different things. It will fit whatever situation. But the other part, because we live in a reciprocal universe, a universe with the law of circulation, the law of reciprocity, it's not just enough to give. We need people to ask. And so if you're one of the people that really needs help right now, please open yourselves and ask. We want to serve our community right now in whatever way we can. And so if you just call the office, and if you want to give, and if you need help, we're here for you. Because that's what this time is all about. It's about choosing courage, choosing love, and choosing kindness. We're truly here for each other. And I want you to remember that and know that at the depth of our being. I read I can't remember where I was reading where people were talking about how what's the good that's happening in this whole situation is letting go of the things that really don't matter anymore so we can focus on the things that matter. Think of what really matters to you in life right now. I know I'd get overwhelmed by the people that are reaching out and calling and connecting in such glorious and wonderful ways. That's what we are here to do. We are here to take care of one another. So I'm just going to ask you to join me at this time in a prayer and a knowing and an affirmation that right where we are, God is. Right where we are, the power and presence of good is. Love is. Possibility is. Right here, right now, in this moment. We don't have to go anywhere. We need to open up to a greater experience, a greater understanding that God's blessings are on us now, are in us now, are with us now, are around us now. The power and presence of this goodness is the power that drives us forward to move through the problem, move through the danger, to find the possibility, the goodness, the understanding that's waiting for us. It's that same energy, that vibration that's moving us to a new way of living, a new way of being in the world, a new way of being with each other, that we can not only love God with all our heart, but truly love one another in new ways, where we take down the shields of the external experience and know there's something more at work, where we can let go of insecurities and doubt and fear and give when we can and ask when we need help, because this world is circular. This world is spiraling upward, and it's calling us to go with it. So at this time, in this moment, I know for each and every one of us that we are open, we awaken, we wake up. We wake up and ripen the compassion that's already within us. We ripen the understanding that life is good, and we feel a greater connection to all life than we ever have. And in this time right here and right now, I feel that deep connection to each and every one of you. As I not only say thank you, God, but I thank each and every one of you for being here, being part of the good, the light, the love that's unfolding right here, right now, in this world, knowing that we are both blessed and a blessing. And in gratitude, in thankfulness, in kindness, in love, and in deep courage, we say, yes, it is so, and so it is. I love you all.